Hello, in this episode of RC Racing we're at the large-scale off-road Euros in Spain. But first, let's take a look at HPI Racing's revolutionary concept, getting a two-stroke engine and strapping it into the world's favourite RC monster truck. Now for the two-stroke action we're more used to seeing on RCTV, the two-wheel drive, large-scale off-road Euros with John Hindhaugh.
So let's have a look at how they line up then for this final, powered by Proline and Elcom models. On pole position, it's Alexander Schmidt of Germany, the Frenchman, Valentin Puziat in second place. From the Netherlands, Ken Walkiers in grid 3. The reigning champion from Croatia is Dario Vesely. He is in the next one back in grid 4. From Switzerland, Mark Grindat in 5. In 6, Peter Hartmann from the Czech Republic. Another Dutchman, Alex Mulder in 7. In 8 and 9, 2 Spaniards, Alec Luque Bravo and Carlos Vidal Pineda. And rounding off the top 10 from France, Patrice Ovinet. Well, there's absolutely no doubt at all as we look down from the driver's stand and now from the back of the grid that the state of the track here is going to come into play. It's super dry and Alex Schmidt gets off from pole position. The German, he's been, well, dominant this week, but the ruts are there. Nothing the organisers can do. They've tried rolling the circuit and we have got a bit of AstroTurf on some of the yumps, but it's been so dry here on the high plains of Spain that we're going to get dust, and really you've just got to deal with it, and that is what Alex Schmidt has been doing all week, and he's doing it again. These 5th scale off-road buggies are fantastic. Just the two-wheel drive, don't forget, so you do have to just pedal them relatively sensibly. Too much wheel spin with this half-an-hour final, well, you could end up just using too much of the rubber. Battle for second position now. Puziat from France and Ken Walkiers, the Dutchman, as they go across, and look at the ruts there coming out that final corner. The suspension having to work really hard indeed as they all close up at the head of the field, and the leader, the German, is around and he's down from 1st to 4th and then back to 1st again. My goodness, how did he get away with that? I'm not entirely sure. It's not over, and still Alex Schmidt, the German, is battling, but he won't hold on to the lead. Fantastic outside move. That's Ken Valkiers from the Netherlands coming through on the blue buggy there, taking his opportunity. He'd been bumped out earlier, and look at that, the bright yellow machine of the pole sitter, the man who's dominated this week, down to 7th position, Alex Schmidt. What a nightmare for him as he drops back down again, and what a fantastic piece of opportunist driving by Ken Valkiers, the Dutchman, who has got almost the length of the start-finish straight on the rest of the field. In second position, it's Peter Hartmann from the Czech Republic, and he's under pressure now. Vesely and Puziat are there. Oh, goodness me, it's all getting a bit unnecessary. Schmidt goes up there, the bright yellow car. You can't miss that one, can you, from the pole sitter, as he dives through 1st, 7th and back to 4th in the space of a few laps. Now the thing here, of course, is to get the concentration back. This is a relatively long race for these 28cc machines. Petrol powered, of course, 2-stroke, around about 7.5 horsepower. That's what the guys are admitting to, at least. And just to put that into context, as these guys are trying to get that power on just through the rear wheels, if you go-karting and get onto one of these arrive and drive carts, you've probably got about 7.5 or 8 horsepower. That's what the guys are playing with here on this very, very difficult circuit here at Alcaraz here in Spain. And the curbs are unforgiving as well, as you can see there. One or two of the drivers, including Schmidt, trying to work them there. It's still the Dutchman, Valkiers, out in front on that blue buggy. And we're watching the battle for third and fourth. That's Pousiat in France, and Pousiat goes around from France, and that allows another position to be made up by Alexander Schmidt. Well, he won't be happy with how he got bumped down into 7th position. Got to say, part of that was his own issue. The red buggy ahead of him is the Czech Republic driver, Petr Hartmann. You see the guys using a variety of controllers, but a lot of them using the finger power with the steering wheel rather than the more traditional 2 sticks there, as we were looking down from the driver's rostrum. And this track is an absolute nightmare. As you see there, Schmidt, the whole buggy getting thrown around backwards and forwards, and you've just got to deal with that. You've got to try and set it up. Big ruts on the apices of some of the corners, and as you can see, the AstroTurf being laid down on some of the heavier use areas, including over the jumps, trying to make it just a little bit more consistent for the drivers. Valkiers is out in front of this race, and in second place the bright red machine of the Czech Republic driver Petr Hartmann, but it's all about third place at the moment, and that is the German Alex Schmidt and Valentin Pousiat, the Frenchman, and they are dragging themselves, as you can see, towards second place. Second, third and fourth almost together now. This is the toughest part of the course, I think, these two hairpins. Particularly, watch out for the next one as well, where there's a big hole on the inside. Look at that. You could almost lose a buggy down there, it's so big. In fact, sideways then goes Pousiat and loses the chance of second position. So it's Valkiers leading. Valkiers getting very, very up in the air there in the lead, but I think he's just got it back down again. It's still Hartmann from the Czech Republic in second on the red buggy, and third now, the man who has dominated this weekend, Alexander Schmidt, the German. There he is, and he is now on, well, he's on attack mode, isn't he? You can tell just by the way that buggy, look at the rooster tails coming out from the back. Just saw the blue buggy of the leader going out of shot there, and you get a feeling, don't you, that there's really no chance for the Czech Republic driver to stay ahead for too long. Just look at how aggressively the German is driving in that bright fluorescent yellow-green machine over the whoops, which aren't perhaps quite as dramatic for these big 1/5 scale machines. 11 kilograms these machines weigh, and they do really get thrown around, as you can see by the bumps there. The suspension working overtime, getting the slight corrections on the steering, as you could see there quite clearly from the driver standing next to our camera. And that is in fact Alex Schmidt, whose hand you can see sometimes in the shot. So just making finite little changes to the steering angle and the throttle as well. Watch if you see it again, watch his finger on the throttle, and now he's right there. This is the battle for second place. This is Hartmann versus Schmidt. Czech Republic versus Germany. Nice bit of driving there by Hartmann. He's ditch hooking, the old rally technique of getting the front wheel right onto the curb or right into the ditch on the inside of the corner to help rotate the car. Now using a little bit of throttle and using that 7.5 horsepower to drift the rear end of these two-wheel drive buggies, but he's gone a little bit wide there through the final corner, only struggling for grip there. But I've got to say that the Czech Republic buggy, that red buggy there in second place, is riding the bumps very well indeed. It's perhaps not got the quickest machine out there. I certainly think from watching what's been going on this week that Alex Schmidt has got the wheels underneath him and the overall power, but at the moment he can't find a way by, and this is all great news by the way for Ken Valkiers, the Dutchman, as there is the pass for second place in that big hole. That was a really, really opportunist manoeuvre there by the pole sitter Schmidt, who goes now into second. So, and look at that, from like a cork pop from a bottle, already pulls out 3 or 4 buggies lengths, and now is off in hot pursuit. But the leader, as you can see from that shot, is already gone. It's more than the full length of the start-finish straight, as now the German has got to, as the French tricolor waving in the background for the new third position driver Valentin Pousiat there from grid 2 but Valkyrs from grid 3 is still leading it. Let's drop back down and look at some of the other drivers, and that is Pacelli, who is battling on for 4th position. And is that Puziat recovering? Yes, it is. So Vasseli from Croatia, the reigning champ, with the Frenchman, who must be kicking himself, thinking he was having a chance for, well, absolutely did have a chance for 2nd place, but now dropped way down the field, or at least down the field, and still battling on. This is the battle for 3rd and 4th position. Now, what of the leaders? Let's go up ahead just a little bit and see what we can do. Sorry, that's 4th and 5th position, my apologies. Just the timing screen with a little bit of the sunshine on it here in the bright light. And there is the pass made, and the Frenchman on the number 2, Valentin Puziat, recovering from that issue earlier on, and goes past Vasseli, the Croatian reigning champion in the F1 two-wheel drive large-scale off-road championships here on rcracing.tv, powered by Proline and Elcom models. I'm watching this battle for the first place off the podium. The unluckiest place to be is position 4. I can tell you that Ken Valkyrs is still leading for Germany, with Alex Schmidt trying to close him down, and that's the interest at the front of the field. And we've still got Peter Hartmann in 3rd position from the Czech Republic on the red machine. Now, there, we just got a quick look there at the German, Alex Schmidt, trying to chase down. I think he's closing, you know. I think he is closing. Not sure he's going to have enough time to actually get up to him and make the pass. But these two, now this is interesting, isn't it? Quite often when you battle together, you will slow yourself down, and there's a mistake by Vasseli, unusual from the former champion on this event. But these guys are pushing themselves hard enough that I think Peter Hartmann must be starting to feel the pressure. The 6 buggy, the bright red machine that you can see just ahead of this battle. There he is, going down across the start-finish line. And he is being closed down on, and the tricolor being waved even with more gusto on driver's right there through turn number 1, as they realise that the Frenchman, Valentin Puziat, has a chance perhaps once again of regaining the podium. Now they're starting, even Schmidt now starting to get a little bit leery. I wonder if they're running out of grip on the rear end of these tyres now. This is big. Oh, and he rolls it. Oh, too much of the throttle there, and well, maybe just a little bit of bad luck, but he is starting to try and avoid the worst of the ruts, I notice now. I just wonder if the handling is going off on some of these buggies. They are built to take all kinds of hard hits, but just the tyre wear here, because of the aggressive nature of the circuit and the aggressive nature of the driving, you've got to think that those rear tyres running 7.5 horsepower through them on these 11 kilogram machines is going to be really at the very limits now at the end of this half an hour contest. Is still, we are looking at the bulk of the race ahead of them, and they're not really looking to save anything at the moment. This is the battle for 3rd and 4th position. The number 6 is Peter Hartmann from the Czech Republic, and behind him the multicoloured buggy is that of Valentin Puziat, who is recovering and drives straight through because of a mistake from the Czech Republic driver. And that was probably a little bit easier, I think, than the Frenchman might have thought at the braking area at the hairpin on the far back straight, as they come back onto the front straight again. And it looks to me as though Hartmann might lose another position to Dario Vasseli, the blue buggy coming around the outside with the rainbow front end. No, can't quite get it done there. You see, can't you, just how much of a balancing act this is to get the cars turned in, get them braked, get a bit of that 11 kilos onto the front wheels, and then use the throttle to rotate the cars around the back end. We're so used to watching, aren't we, on the hard surfaces, how smooth people are. You've actually got to be a bit brutal on this and get the weight moving forward. It's called weight transfer. Get the suspension compressing, then you can get a little bit of weight on the front wheels to initiate the turn. But the turn is being made by the guy spinning up the rear wheels and getting the back end to slide. It's a very, very different form of driving that we're used to seeing on the hard surfaces here on rcracing.tv. RC Racing coming to you monthly, of course, but also on the World Wide Web, www.rcracing.tv, for the best in RC from around the world, and our EFRA two-wheel drive large-scale off-road championship coverage from Spain, brought to you by Proline and Elcon Models. There is the leader. Haven't seen him for a while. Ken Valkiers is still out there, and there is the man who is in chase mode. This is the pole sitter, Alexander Schmidt, who quite frankly this week has been the class of the field. Surprised to see him not just drive away from the rest of the field once he plonked himself on pole position with FTD from the fastest time of the event from the qualifying runs. Made that mistake early on, dropped down to 7th, but now is clearly in the mood to make up positions. That buggy is riding very well indeed. Nice piece of driving by one of the lapped drivers there, keeping out of the way of the leader. That was deliberate, that wasn't a mistake by that car, that buggy there. Schmidt now, and again that's where he had the issue last time, and he's just shorting that jump there, and it's getting a little bit too much compression on the front of the car, and it's basically putting the car back end over front, and that's a real problem. Now that is the 9 of Carlos Vidal Pineda, the Spaniard, on home ground, and he should be letting the leader through, because the second of the blue cars that is coming into shot now, not the one that we're watching, there we go, it's identical, even down to the red wheels. Commentator's nightmare. Slightly bit more white on the roof is the only thing that I've noticed between two. That is the leader. That is Ken Valkiers, the Dutchman, who I've been impressed with, because when you've got Alex Schmidt in the form that he has been this week, chasing you down, you might have expected him to crack, but he's not lost any of his leads so far, and going through traffic at the moment, he is very, very impressive indeed. Wind just picking up a little bit, but it's been perfect weather conditions all through this event. In some ways perhaps a little bit too hot and a little bit too dry, and you can see just what these very powerful two-wheel drive off-road buggies have done to what is normally an immaculate surface. The organisers here were a bit at their wits' ends knowing what to do, but frankly, and there's the big hole there on that infield hairpin, frankly I'm not sure there's anything they could have done. There was talk of perhaps putting some water on the circuit, but that may have only made it worse, and I think actually they've done the right thing in just letting the guys race. Now look at Schmidt, there he is in that bright lime green or yellow machine, not the one that's right behind the leader. There he goes. Oh, the leader very nearly getting a bit of grip roll there. We normally only see that on carpet racing. Just pitched it sideways, but there, that yellow car going through shot now, that is his second place man. At the moment he is lapping 2 seconds a lap quicker than the leader. This is the crucial part of the race. 2 lapped cars in between this man, Alex Schmidt, and the leader. The first one being Carlos Vidal Pineda, the Spaniard, delighted to have qualified through into the final with Alice Luque Bravo, his countryman. He's going to have to give way here. Alex Schmidt will not want to be held up, will not want to go offline. You can see just how polished it's getting on the racing line. This is a battle of survival. Survival of the fastest here in Spain for the EFRA two-wheel drive large-scale off-road championship. And there is Schmidt. He looks ragged, but he's quick. And there is the leader. The leader's been held up. The leader's been held up. In fact, looking at the lap times, the leader's pace has gone off. Ken Valkiers. Now, has he got a problem? Is he getting tired? Is the concentration going? Was he being over conservative going through that traffic? He spent a long time between those two, behind those two back markers, but now the race is on for the lead, and Schmidt smells the victory, I'm sure here. These two well ahead of the rest of the field, which when I last looked was being headed by Valentin Puziat, the Frenchman. And oh, is that a wheel? There's a tyre or a wheel come off. The insert of the tyre has come out. Now, Schmidt, that I have never seen that happening before. I was slightly taken aback by that. Now, let's have a look at the tyres. Where do we think that's come? Surely one of the rears. Yes, it's the right rear. You can see the tyre coming off the white rear rim. I've never seen that happen before. and that is a disaster for the German. That's a driven wheel, and being a left-handed circuit, that's the one that takes all the pressure and the heat and the pressure and the power. It's all come to be too much for that right rear wheel. He's battling on, and he surely has to pit. He's in the pits. He knows he can't make it to the end from here. It'll have to be a tyre change. Well, that's going to take him out. Now there's the replay. Now I thought it was a wheel coming off, but what it is actually the internal part of the tyre. It's you don't pump these tyres up. It has an internal component, much like rally car tyres, has a foam inside, and that is what has gone there. And it's now allowed that tyre to be pulled off the rim, and that's why he had to pull in. Now I wonder if Valkyrs is having the same problems. I did say earlier on that this heat and this very hard ground was going to play havoc with the tyres, and the guys went out at a cracking pace. I was very surprised at how quick the guys went out. There was leader in the pits! Leader in the pits! Well, his lap times have been falling. There is Pousiat. Now, we've only got, a lap and a bit to go here, and Pousiat is coming round. What we need to see is whether Valkyrs can get out the pits in time. I don't think he can. No, he can't. That's the change of lead. Remarkable stuff. And Pousiat, having been involved in that first lap shunt, he got bumped down as well as Alex Schmidt do. Schmidt loses his right rear, and Valkyrs in with tyre trouble as well. And this is a cruise home for the number 2 for the Frenchman. And what I need to do now is work out who's in second place, and it's Vesely, the reigning champion, the Croatian, who's in second place. What an action-packed second half of this race. Here comes Valentin Pousiat on what we can only say is a perfectly judged race, of course, for him. He has looked after his time. There's Vesely, he's already finished. But of course, the leader is so far ahead that he's got a lap on the field and comes round and wins it. He is the EFRA two-wheel drive large-scale off-road champion. Our sponsors Proline and Elcon here on rcracing.tv. And there is Nick Damon up on the driver's stand. Let's get down and hear what the winner's got to say.
Valentin, congratulations. How do you feel?
Surprenant.
Yeah, it's a shame that the tire came off. Car was also going very well, and at the beginning I had a moment when I got out of the traffic and I could make a gap, and yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed.
Well, confirming the results then with our sponsors Proline and Elcon Models. Good drive by the two Spaniards up into 5th and 6th. Ken Valkyrs must have thought he had it. Well, as must Alexander Schmidt, of course. But on the podium, it's Peter Hartmann for the Czech Republic in 3rd. Vesely, the defending champion, hands his trophy, effectively, to the Frenchman, Valentin Pousiat, with a perfectly judged drive.
Well, that's all we've got time for this month. Be sure to check out our website at rcracing.tv for a daily news update, how to get started in this fantastic hobby, and all the news, views, interviews, and race action you RC lovers love.